Winter, 1941. Leningrad is encircled by the German army, 3 million people trapped in a frozen cage. The city, once a symbol of Russian culture and progress, is now cut off from the world, its fate hanging in the balance. Families huddle together, listening for news, hoping for a miracle as the days grow shorter and colder. The city, once vibrant, now faces silence and dread. The golden spires stand watch over a population on the brink. Streets that once echoed with laughter and music are now deserted, blanketed in snow and fear. The grandeur of Leningrad's architecture is a stark contrast to the desperation growing within its walls. The last land connection to the Soviet Union is severed. The Iron Ring is closed. No trains, no trucks, no hope of escape or relief. The city is isolated, surrounded by enemy forces determined to starve it into submission. Disbelief gives way to grim reality. The Red Army cannot break through. Soldiers dig in, bracing for a siege that will test every limit. Civilians, once confident in the city's defences, now face the unthinkable, survival on their own with only dwindling supplies and each other for comfort. Artillery shells rain down. The city's world shrinks to survival. Each explosion brings new destruction, shattering homes and hope alike. The sound of bombardment becomes a constant, a grim reminder that nowhere is truly safe. This is not just a battle at the front. It's a war in every kitchen, every breadline, every freezing apartment. Mothers ration crumbs of bread. Children shiver under thin blankets, and neighbours share what little they have. The struggle for food and warmth becomes as fierce as any fight on the battlefield. Hunger becomes the enemy. The winter is brutal, temperatures plunging to deadly lows. Frostbite and starvation claim lives daily. The city's spirit is tested as never before, as families cling to hope in the face of unimaginable hardship. Leningrad, built as a window to Europe, is now a prison. Its bridges and boulevards, once open to the world, are now barriers holding its people captive. The city's beauty is locked away behind walls of ice and steel. As snow falls, it shrouds a city condemned. The fight for Leningrad is now a fight for survival itself. Every day is a struggle against hunger, cold, and despair. Yet, even in the darkest moments, the will to endure flickers in every heart. The siege has begun, and the city's darkest hour descends. Leningrad stands alone, its people united by suffering and hope, determined to survive the iron ring that now binds them. Rationing is ruthless. Bread rations shrink to a sliver, barely enough to keep hope alive. Bread is no longer bread. Sawdust, cellulose, and cottonseed bulk it out. It's heavy, gritty, and barely edible. People queue for hours in the cold for their daily ration. As supplies dwindle, desperation grows. Leather belts, wallpaper glue, and book bindings are boiled for sustenance. The city devours itself. Every plant, every stray animal, even rats vanish. Pine needles become tea. The line between food and non-food disappears. Hunger overrides revulsion. The search for calories is all-consuming. The ration card is life itself. Leningrad's menu is now a catalogue of desperation. Starvation is more than physical. It corrodes the mind and spirit. In Leningrad, hunger was not just an ache in the belly, but a slow, relentless force that gnawed at hope, dignity, and the very sense of self. The city's people, once vibrant and full of life, found themselves changed in ways they could never have imagined. The city's communal defiance fades into suspicion and apathy. Hunger hollows people out, leaving only the drive to survive. Neighbours who once shared laughter and stories now eyed each other with mistrust, their faces drawn and eyes empty. The warmth of community was replaced by a cold, isolating fear. Families fracture. Diaries tell of stolen bread, bitter arguments, and silent resentment. The bonds that held households together began to unravel as each person fought their own private battle against hunger. Even the closest relationships were tested by the daily struggle for survival. People hide food from loved ones. The home becomes a battleground. Trust, once the foundation of family life, is eroded by desperation. Meals are eaten in silence, every crumb counted, every glance weighted with suspicion and fear. On the streets, the Leningrad gate emerges, slow, shuffling, conserving every ounce of energy. The city is silent, drained of warmth and connection. The sound of laughter and conversation vanishes, replaced by the shuffle of feet and the wind howling through empty avenues. The weak become prey. Ration cards are stolen. Cannibalism, once unthinkable, emerges in the shadows. The rules of civilization are bent and broken as people do whatever they must to survive, haunted by the choices they are forced to make. Civilization's rules collapse for some, as hunger erases morality. The soul of Leningrad is consumed alongside its bodies. In the darkness, the city's spirit flickers, battered by the storm of starvation and despair. Starvation wages war on the human spirit, leaving scars that linger long after the body is fed. The true cost of hunger is measured not just in lives lost, but in the invisible wounds carried by those who survived. In the abyss, some lose all humanity. Cannibalism becomes a grim reality, policed in secret, yet others cling to dignity. Teachers hold classes in freezing schools, keeping hope alive for starving children. Education becomes defiance, a promise of a future beyond the siege. The Leningrad Symphony is performed by starving musicians, broadcast across the city and to enemy lines, a declaration that art and spirit endure. Librarians guard books from bombs and desperate hands, preserving culture at great personal risk. These acts are not distractions, they are spiritual resistance. In the starkest conditions, many choose civilization over barbarism, even at great cost. Their quiet courage is as heroic as any battle. Dignity survives, even in the darkest times. As the bitter winter deepens and the city's suffering grows, a glimmer of hope appears. Lake Ladoga freezes solid, opening what will become known as the Road of Life. This frozen expanse, stretching across the vast lake, is the only link between besieged Leningrad and the outside world. Convoys of trucks risk the treacherous ice, their headlights cutting through the darkness, carrying flour, medicine, and precious supplies into the starving city. Drivers brave enemy fire, blizzards, and the constant threat of the ice cracking beneath their wheels. Each journey is a gamble with death, but they press on, determined to save lives. Many trucks are lost to the freezing waters or enemy attacks, but every successful convoy is a lifeline, a message to Leningrad that it is not forgotten, that help is coming, no matter the cost. The relief brought by these convoys is small, but it is vital. Each sack of flour, each crate of medicine, means another day of survival for thousands. For a brief moment, bread rations rise. The city's people, gaunt and weary, feel hope flicker in their hearts as they clutch their precious loaves. On the return journey, the most vulnerable, children, women, the elderly, are evacuated across the ice, away from the horrors of the siege. Each departure is a bittersweet farewell, filled with both relief and fear. Some do not survive the perilous crossing, but for many, the road of life means a chance at survival, a reunion with loved ones, and the possibility of a future beyond the blockade. This frozen highway, born of desperation and immense courage, becomes the city's fragile artery, keeping Leningrad alive against all odds. The road of life cannot end the city's suffering, nor can it erase the pain of hunger and loss, but it prevents total annihilation. It is the difference between life and death for countless souls. The siege drags on, relentless and cruel, but the city endures. Against all odds, Leningrad refuses to fall. The road of life remains Leningrad's fragile artery of hope, a testament to the courage, sacrifice, and unbreakable spirit of its people. January 27th, 1944. The siege is broken after 872 days. There are no celebrations, only silence and exhaustion. Over 1 million civilians are dead. Survivors are forever changed, bodies and minds scarred. The city is in ruins. Recovery will take decades. The trauma lingers. Memories of hunger, loss, and impossible choices haunt the survivors. The siege becomes a defining part of Leningrad's identity, pride in resilience, sorrow for the cost. The lesson is clear. Civilization is fragile, but the human spirit is resilient. Teachers, musicians, and ordinary citizens showed that dignity and hope can survive even the darkest times. The legacy of Leningrad is both a warning and an inspiration.